Was that Avril Lavigne?
Welcome, everybody, to our midweek show, The Fantasy Lens, where we take a deep dive into anything and everything fantasy hockey specific. I'm co-host Junior, as usual, accompanied by co-host Nick and producer Vince. Let's get right into it. Vince, tell us what this episode's all about.
All right, so this episode will be the rise and fall of some players. This episode is sponsored by Pazzeria Boulangerie Italia. You can follow them on Instagram, Facebook, whatever social media you have at Pazzeria Italia. Well, to introduce my segment, because this midweek segment, every week one of us will come up with a new segment and we'll host our own and have a conversation. Hopefully that stays clean. So this one, welcome to the rise and fall, the segment where fantasy hockey dreams come true and then get absolutely demolished by a cold streak and a -4 night. We're talking about the guys who made you feel like a genius GM one week and a confused toddler clicking auto draft the next. Whether it's a sleeper pick who woke up angry or a superstar who forgot how to shoot, we're here to celebrate the highs, roast the lows, and remind you that fantasy hockey is basically emotional roulette on a spreadsheet. So grab your tissues or your victory dance and let's dive into this roller coaster of regret and rendition. Redemption. Damn.
It was so good. It was so good. But only like Vince knows how to do. Found
So
the way
good until that last word.
to Vincentize it.
To Vincentize it.
Man.
You pulled a Vince.
Yeah.
That's what it's called from now on.
Damn, was so good. Okay. All right. So basically in this segment, we're gonna talk about two players from the same team. We kept it on the same team. One who was we don't think any of these players suck, but one who was maybe drafted higher than he was supposed to in many drafts. And
I think their hopes were higher.
their hopes were very high, and then 20 games into the season, someone else has risen above them. So the first one that I want to talk to about is the Chicago Blackhawks. The Chicago Blackhawks. So in a lot of fantasies leagues that we did, Renzel was the talk of the group. So Renzel and Levshunov, the rise of Leshunov, the fall of Renzel. What's happening in Chicago and why is this happening? Nick.
Well, I mean, we have to say it as it is. Rinzel came in with power play 1 aspirations. He in the preseason he was taking the top power play role. So anybody that was looking for a power play quarterback would have drafted Rinzel, and we saw it in quite a few leagues actually, where Rinzel went
Very high.
well. Yeah, I mean mid rounds, but that's higher than a lot of other power play hopefuls, right? And in this particular case, Rinzel has 3 points in 17 games played, lost his power play 1 duties, and doesn't look like he's on a 0 points in the last 10 games played. So doesn't look like a player that should have been really touted as highly as he was before the actual season started. I mean, he was a rookie, so we have to take that with a grain of salt as well, right? We don't know what to expect. We just saw in preseason that he was supposed to be this fantasy upside prospect.
Why was he touted higher than Levshunov at the beginning of this year?
because he had a sample size going into the year, and it was a very small sample size. But last year, he had 5 assists in 9 games, right? He joined the team late at the end of the year after his college season, and he showed
More than
good
half
signs.
of them were on the power play.
Yeah, and he showed good signs of being an all-around defenseman. So you figured he'd definitely be given the opportunity, because we all knew Levshunov still needed time to develop. But I think the one thing to remember here is that they're both very young. One is 20, one's 21. So after the next 20 games, maybe not Renzel, but it could be somebody else. And Levshunov hits a little bit of a wall, and they flip that switch, But
Could be Korchinski.
I wanted to exactly. I wanted to draft Renzel in the first round of LPHL, but someone got to him before me, or else I would have fallen for this trap as well.
Yeah, well, it's definitely a rise and fall. Levshunov has risen, and you know what? He was highly touted, and I think we should spend some time on Lashunov here, but he's on power play 1. He's the quarterback right now. Do we expect him to keep it up?
Well, I'll tell you right now with the daily lineups what Chicago looks like right
Well, it has Nazar, Bedard, Teravainen, Burakovsky, and Leshunov is the top power play right now. And Renzel is not even on power play 2.
He was when the fall of Renzel is
Quite extensive.
quite extensive because he was scratched completely last game.
Mm.
So it's that's what's so shocking about it is that he had so much promise coming into the season, and you're expecting a little fall. They're young players, you expect, but for a deep fall like getting scratched, that's where I found it a bit worrisome. And for Levshunov, who, listen, in Montreal especially, we all make fun of Chicago because they drafted Levshunov instead of Demidov.
Nobody makes fun of Chicago.
Oh, stop it. You know there's some half fans that do. You see the Twitter
Some
banter.
hat.
But at the end of the day, I mean, Levshunov is looking and getting more comfortable as looking as a number one defenseman on that team and number one power play. So
5 points in his last 5 games, right? He's playing third pairing minutes
Yeah.
in 16 minutes a night only, but he has the power play time right now. 10 assists in total, so no goals yet for Leshunov, but 10 assists total for the year.
what's his projected points for this year, Nick?
He's on pace for 48 points
For rookie season this year?
for a rookie season. Well, he played 18 games last year, but
He's
whatever.
still considered rookie this year, but
I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. But yeah, I think he is. According to Daily Faceoff, he is. So for a 48 point pace would put him in the top 20, like we've said. So
Junior, anything to add on these two?
So the Blackhawks power play was mid to start the year. Right now they're at a 25 power play percentage. They rank 7th in the league. But in the last 10 games, which is about the time Levshunov came, their percentage is 32. So he's made a big difference there, and he's earned it, really. So I think this is a case where you just ride the hot hand until it changes again.
And this is no means saying drop or trade Renzel. At this point, you hold on to Renzel and see if he comes back to the standard of what we were expecting from him. But it is showing that Leshunov is taking the opportunity and running with it right now. Two other players. We're going to go with the Pittsburgh Penguins. And we were excited about one of these players. And
I was.
Yeah. So Koivunen and Kindle, right?
sure.
So Koivunen is the one who has fallen, and Kindle was the one that has risen. I mean, Koivunen came in very hyped up because he was the one going to be playing with Crosby. And this happens every year somewhere, and every year people get caught in this trap, is when there's a no-name playing with a superstar, people automatically assume, bam, 30 points for Koivunen, 30 goals for Koivunen. And I mean, he got sent down back to the AHL during this year, and Kindle is just outperforming, and for an 18-year-old, just proving that he belongs in the NHL. Like,
Very impressive.
yeah, Pittsburgh did not want to keep this kid on the team, but they have no choice of the way he's playing. So, Nick, what can you tell us about both these players?
Well, I remember being made fun of by the person on the left of me in Project Llama for drafting Kindle in the second round of that league. And I'm looking very good right now. Kindle, 18 years old. He's playing third line minutes in Pittsburgh, and he looks like he belongs, which is very surprising considering the fact that, 18-year-olds in the NHL don't necessarily play center, and they don't necessarily play it well. So Pittsburgh's been surging, and he's been a big part of that, I think. Koivunen, I actually drafted him in LPHL as one of I think he was my second round pick in LPHL. And I actually got trade offers from him immediately after I drafted him. People were really upset that they didn't get a chance to grab Koivunen. But somehow that one didn't work out for me, as he is not necessarily in the NHL right now. He's played 11 games, only 2 points. under 13 minutes of ice time.
Yeah.
So we're not looking at somebody here that has been performing at the pace that he was last year. Last year, he had 8 games played, 7 assists.
Yeah.
It looks like that was unsustainable, of course, but
So there's a couple of things. 7 points in 8 games last year under Coach Sullivan, also had 18 minutes of ice time. This year, 2 assists in 11 games, only 12 minutes of ice time. So
that's a big drop.
that's a big difference,
For a
right?
forward, especially for a third line forward, this is huge to go down 6 minutes a game.
But
Oh,
I also
Massive.
wouldn't. I also wouldn't. Like, I'm not falling deeply in love with Kindle either. I mean, the respectable numbers on pace for 34 points, but I have a hard time when players come out of nowhere to produce at an age or at a time where not many expected this of him.
oh, Pittsburgh did. They drafted him in the first round.
This soon, no.
This
Right?
soon, no.
Renzel, in a small sample size last year, showed us that, hey, oh, whoa, let's pick him in the first round of some leagues, and what did that do? So, like, for me, there's still not enough of a sample size on this Ben Kindle, but I do like what I see. And he's getting 50% of power play time.
Yeah.
So
First power play.
So look, 4 points out of 7 on the power play, that's a good sign. I mean, but I'm not like going all in on this kid just yet.
Yeah, I'm not talking about Kindle as being fantasy relevant necessarily this year. I'm talking about Kindle as a 23-year-old when he actually gets there in 5 years from now. He's already getting experience in a top 9 role on a Pittsburgh team, playing with Crosby and Malkin and learning from these guys. I think it's just positive for Pittsburgh to have this kid developing now in the NHL, where there's no pressure on Pittsburgh because they were. Everybody said it at the beginning of the year. You said it as well, that they're going for
McKenna.
Connor McKenna, right? They're a bottom feeding team that should be winning the lottery this
Gavin
year.
McKenna.
Gavin McKenna, thank you. I'm so
Enough
used
with
to
the Connors.
I'm
Yeah.
used to Connors being good. So Gavin McKenna, but they're actually performing and they're doing well. So, anyways, it's nice to see. In the OHL, we should mention Kindle did have incredible
Numbers,
offensive
yeah.
numbers. I didn't expect him to be responsible defensively the way he is, which is surprising for me.
So in the long run, let's say 3-4 years from now, which one of these is going to be more fantasy relevant? Kendall or Koivunen?
It's so hard to say.
I know, that's why I'm asking you.
But it's
Just give me a name.
No, it's too much. You're projecting so many things could change from between now and then.
Just give me a name.
If I have to pick somebody,
Yes.
I would probably pick Kindle just because he has the draft pedigree as 11th overall in the 2025 draft, whereas Koivunen does not. But it's really grasping at straws. I mean,
It's okay. I like Graspers Strauss.
For the sake of being different, I'll go with Koivunen. And what's encouraging is that despite being sent down, he still put up really good numbers in the AHL. Now, some might say maybe he's just an AHL player and not an NHL player, but he's still 22 years old. He's going to get his opportunity again. I think he's back on the team anyway. I don't know. I'm going to go with Ville Koivunen. The one thing I'll say about Kindle though is, would you guys not like trade him in a package deal now that he's super relevant? If you can package him to get like a superstar or a star in your team, now that his value is so high, that you have him, would you consider that in dynasty leagues?
well, okay. So in Lama, right now, I'm in 4th or 5th place in Lama. So for me to trade Kindle right now for a star player would probably help my chances in finishing top 3. But if I'm not confident that I have a chance to win, I don't think I want to get rid of an 18-year-old player who could be part of my future. It's like we're talking dynasty now. And ELC contracts are so important in Lama because it's a league that you could call up your ELCs without penalty and you could send them down without penalty, that it just has so much value for me right now. Whereas if you're in a dynasty league that doesn't count salaries and it doesn't count anything like that, yeah, I mean, if there's interest out there, it always depends on what you get back, and it depends if you're competing or if you're rebuilding.
Yeah.
Like as a rebuilder,
I would love.
Why would you get rid of him?
Yeah, exactly. There's no reason to get rid of.
There's
him.
no reason to
Of
get rid of
a
him. You're not
player
competing.
that has so much promise. So
And next year, without Malkin, if let's say Crosby's not there, what kind of value does Kindle have on an ELC?
well,
I don't see them bumping him up to first line by next year. It's too soon.
Well, if Malkin's not there, he might be second line center.
Second line, he
Yeah.
might be if Malkin's not there.
Because he's the one on an expiring
I
contract.
still think
Crosby is probably
Crosby's
still
still
going to be
gonna
there,
be
but yeah.
All right. So the next one, we're going to talk about two players that were in the NHL, have been in the NHL for over 2 years. One who last year, came out guns blazing, was a candidate for the Calder, and another one who was a trouble child, they would say. But it seems like they've changed roles. So we're talking about Michkov and Zegras. So it seems like now Michkov is the troubled child, and Zegras under Tocchet has become this hockey player that produces. So the rise of Seagrass this year with Philly in the first year and the fall of Michkov, what are we basing this on? Is it this a one and done where it's the first year Seagrass wants to prove to his coach that I'm here, I can play, and Michkov is just listen. It's the news is out there. Came out of camp very out of shape, maybe injured. So Nick, I'm going to start. Actually, Joe, I'm going to start with you. Michkov and Zegras. The fall of Michkov and the rise of Zegras. Explain to me why this is happening now.
I think this is happening primarily because a change of scenery always usually brings a boost. So Trevor Zegras going to Philadelphia after what were like some unhappy times the last couple of years for him, whether it's injury or management and so on. And he's on a contract year. So you combine those two things, and I think naturally he got a boost from that. As for Mishkov, look, anytime you're going to come into camp out of shape, you're always starting from behind. So you're in the NHL. You're not in like a junior league here where your talent could get you through when you're out of shape. I mean, he still has 9 points. He's still pacing for 41 points, which is not great. But as he gets in shape, he should find this form again.
Well, I'll say there's two big differences here. Number one, Michkov is 19 years old, right? Michkov is 20 years old, whereas Zegras is 24 going on 25. There's a difference in maturity. There's a difference in how much you've experienced the NHL so far. So we always have to take that with a grain of salt. But two huge differences that glare off the page is that Zegras is doing 18 and a half time on ice, to 18 and a half minutes of time on ice average per game, whereas Michkov is doing 14 and 50 seconds. So let's say 15 minutes of time on ice. That's a big difference in time of ice when you're in a top six role. Like Junior said, 41-point pace for Michkov, 87-point pace for Zegras. He's over a point per game right now. So, and 60% of power play, whereas Michkov only has 48% of power play. So, again, you have to. Do I think Michkov is going to be the better player in the long run? I mean, that's up for debate because he is 4 years younger. But Zegras is a player. We always knew he had the talent. He was just never getting the opportunity. Well, or he was injured, or
his
head wasn't in the right place, right?
Exactly.
There was a few things going on here.
His maturity wasn't where it seems to be this year. That's for sure. So, I'm not gonna ask Dynasty League because let's say in a no keeper league, are you trading for? Are you trying to get Zegras on your team? Do you think he can keep up this pace
For this year?
Yeah, for this year. So this is basically it's a redraft league. You have your team. You're looking for someone who can propel your team to the top. Are we trading for Zegras, Junior?
I would. I think he could sustain this. The encouraging signs are his shots on goal per game are back to his average. Last year he was below average, so he's 2.2 shots per game. His shooting percentage is just over 15%. He's usually about 12% guy. He's getting the deployment. He's getting a great power play. He gets 60% of the power play. He's playing 18 minutes, like you guys said. Look, do I think he's going to be an 87-point player? Maybe. Guys, contract years, you're the one who says it the most. Contract years are... It's like they feed into these guys like crazy. But I would not be afraid to go either pick up a Zegras off waivers in certain very non-deep fantasy leagues, but or trade for him. I would not be scared. And I wouldn't be scared to trade for Mishkov either. for that
Well,
matter.
I would be scared to sell Michkov. Like if I'm a Michkov owner, which we are in the DPR league, I'm not selling him.
But
No, but you could buy low, hopefully, maybe.
okay, so like you went DPR league is a keeper league. In a complete redraft league, are you holding on to Michkov and hoping he comes back to what he did last year, or have you?
I mean, you're selling at a low value right now, right? You
Not-
gotta wait until he gets on a hot streak a
But
little bit
not
to
even
sell.
selling. Let's say drop in a redraft league where you can drop and pick up players from waivers. Are we at the point where we're dropping Michkov, or are we just waiting another 10 games before we make a huge move like that?
Yeah, I would hold.
You will hold on
I would
Michkov.
hold.
Okay. So, final one for this episode. And this basically came,
Really, final one already?
yeah, final one. So, Gustafsson and Wallstead. So, Nick, you brought this one up. And you brought this one up because Wallstead is coming back from back-to-back shutouts. And Gustafsson has had a very rocky start to this year compared to the fantasy points he put up last year. So, is this like Gustafsson has signed a new contract for 3 years? So, what are we saying in here? Like, I'm confused because I feel like now Wallstead is number one goalie over there until he loses it to Gustafsson. What do you think, Nick?
Well, I mean, Jesper Wallstedt has had the pedigree to be a superstar goalie in this league. He was drafted in the first round, which is very rare, by the way, for
Yeah.
goalies. He is 6'3". He's played 6 games so far, 4 wins. 2 of them were shutouts. Am I right?
Yeah, 2 back-to-back shutouts.
Back-to-back shutouts, he said. So 924 save percentage for the year so far. Small sample size still. Very small sample size. In the end, 83% quality start percentage. That's that's a great number. Do I think Wallstad takes over from Gustafsson? I think it's going to be a 1A, 1B for the next 4 years.
Okay.
And they're going to split starts. Unfortunately, for those of you that are looking for volume starts from Wallstad, you're not going to get it. So, as a spot starter in a redraft league, like let's say you pick him up for 1 week because you need a start, and then you drop him right after, Wallstad's great for that. Yeah. But I don't think that you could hold him throughout the entire year because of the fact that he'll be splitting starts with the other one.
So, Junior, for Gustafsson owners, are we worried about because his games played now since Wallstad's playing so well, like Nick said, he's gonna get those extra games he was probably not gonna get at the beginning of the year.
If the people would have tuned in and listened to me when we did our previews, I warned everybody.
Maybe they did tune in. You don't know.
Well, good for you for tuning in and to listen and for listening to me, because once an episode I hit this damn mic. But anyway, I warned you guys that Philip Gustafsson is inconsistent. He'll have one really good year, and then he'll have one average year.
We've said that a few times actually on this podcast. Yeah.
On and on and on, because that's the track record he has. That's what we have in front of us as data. So if you trust the data you have, you would have known that this year would have been an off year for Philip Gustafsson. And good for you on Jesper Wallstedt that you didn't trade him last year when he had a terrible season in the AHL and the time that he came up. This is why you have to be really patient with prospects, let alone goaltending prospects, because goaltenders take the most time, maybe even more than defensemen, to develop and show their worth in the NHL. So I'm not surprised, guys. I'm really not surprised.
Listen, I picked up Gustafsson in one of my leagues head to head, and he's hurting me. Not gonna lie. And I had Wallstad. I had both of them because I had Wallstad as a rookie keeper, and I dropped Wallstad because he was. I to me Gustafsson was gonna play 62 games, and I regret it. Whatever. It is what it is. Okay, one final one. We have time for one final one. This is for our Toronto Maple Leaf fans. And this is a name that we heard chanting on buildings about this guy coming in and putting up points and making Toronto fans forget that Mitch Marner was ever a Toronto Maple Leafs. Michelli. So he went to Toronto in a trade. He had, I'm not even going to hide it, there was high aspirations for this guy to play next to Austin Matthews and become a superstar. And, I mean, his fall has been viewed by all. And then you have another player in Robertson who basically was in trade talks a lot last year, difficulty signing an extension. And now he's getting his opportunity and is rising to the occasion with Toronto and putting up some good points. So, Nick Michelli, can he get to where Toronto Maple Leaf fans want him to get, or was he just overhyped because they were trying to overshadow Marner's departure?
Well, I think Toronto Maple Leafs fans knew that it was going to be they weren't going to be as good of a team necessarily in the regular season without Mitch Marner there. I think that their hope is that because they have more depth now on the bottom six, that they'll be able to sustain longer playoff drives, playoff runs, let's say. So Michelli came in, though, with the aspirations of being that playmaker maybe that Matthews really wanted next to him. So you could set up Matthews for that big one-timer or big shot off the circle. Now, what's happened instead is that he's actually been playing 13 minutes of ice time per average, let's say. Last year in Utah, he was also 13 minutes. So these are third-liner numbers now. Mm-hmm. We're not talking top six anymore. Last year, he was on pace for 27. This year, he's on pace for 36 points, which is an improvement, but it's nowhere near the 63 points that he had in Arizona or the 57 points that he had in Arizona before that. And what's funny about all this is that he's rocking a 25% shooting percentage.
Oh, my God.
So even this pace might not be sustainable for him. 30% of power play time, that means second power play unit. Yeah. It's just not the 0 points in the last 4 games. It's not what we were hoping for, I think, for people that went out and grabbed Michelli. And I see him dropped in a lot of leagues.
Yeah. Listen, when he was getting drafted in some of our leagues, the people who were drafting him felt like jubilant that he was there and that they drafted him and he'd be a key member of their team. And we've seen the opposite. But, Junior, you were an owner of Robertson, weren't you at one point?
I was. But this is on the team. I don't think this is on Robertson. Mm-hmm. I've had Robertson, and anytime he played, he was always good enough to stay in the lineup. But for some reason, he's always what do they call it? The scapegoat.
The odd man out.
He's always the guy that's going to be pulled out of the lineup when they need to make a change, even though he's not the one that deserves it. And this year, finally, he's a bit more consistent, so he's showing his worth. He only signed a 1-year deal anyway, so it's also a contract year for him. But for some reason, he's only getting 13 minutes of ice time.
Same as Michelli.
His shooting percentage is good, is average. Okay, he's on pace for 50 points, which would be a career high. His shooting percentage is his average. He's shooting on net a little more. So he has 2 shots on goal on net, which is great. So everything that I see here is great. He doesn't even get power play time. So, but here we are. He gets less power play time than Michelli, and Michelli's proven absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Again, if you would have tuned in when we spoke about the previews, I would have told you Michelli's not a 70-point player just because he's going to the Leafs. The media and everybody, they sold the Leafs a dream. They sold them a dream. You lost Marner, you're going to get Michelli, Ruan, Stupar. and you're gonna become the best team in the. No, you got nothing. You got absolutely nothing for Marner. Put it through your thick skulls. You got nothing for Marner, and this is the result. This is the result. You wanted energy? I'm bringing the energy. Okay, you got nothing, and this is what it is.
I think Toronto built up a very good, like Nick said, a playoff team to bring them deeper in the playoffs. But I'm not sure they built themselves a team to get into the playoffs, and this is where it's going to be rocky. But Robertson, can he keep this up? Can he stay in the top six, or as people like now he's in the top line because Matthews is injured. But can he stay in the top six, or are we going to just see a flip flop going on around here?
Well, I mean, 13 minutes time on ice has to improve if you want to be a top sixer. So I just don't see it necessarily happening, and whether it's because of coaching decisions or some sort of liability defensively, I'm not really sure. But I'm not seeing somebody that's going to be all of a sudden a 60 to 70 point player. If he could maintain 50-point pace, I mean, that's going to be a very big payday for him after this year.
Look, he's not like a 70-point player, Robertson. Right? If he can get 50 points, I think we could all maybe suspect that he could get 50 to 55 points on a really good year. But they just don't give him an opportunity. Matthews went down how many times? How many games did he go down? He still didn't get power play one. They called up Cowan. They gave him power play one. But Robertson has arguably been their best player, not called Nylander Tavares, over the last couple of weeks. And still not a sniff on the power play. He doesn't. So it's hard for him because he doesn't get power play and he doesn't play shorthanded. So it's hard for his minutes to go up that much. He's just a 5-on-5 player.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to rely on him from a fantasy perspective until maybe he changes scenery.
Toronto Maple Leafs, when we're talking about power plays, now without these are projected, but Cowan, Tavares, Nyes, Nylander, Oliver Ekman-Larsson as the top power play unit, and second power play unit, Robertson looks like he's there. So I don't know how much we take
with Machelli.
With Machelli. So maybe that's going to be the battle, right? Maybe that's going to be the battle the rest of the season. Machelli or Robertson should be a top
They
sixer.
also have Nyes on the third line in daily face-off. So I'm guessing the coach is trying to
I don't
balance the lines.
I don't even know if that's a third line.
Well, no, to me that's their second line.
It's probably better than Machelli.
I don't think
Machelli,
McCann.
Domi, and
McCann, I think that's their third line.
I think that's their third line, realistically, because Cowan, Nicholas Roy has been very, very solid for them.
Yeah.
In a bottom six role there, but
I was honestly I wasn't expecting huge things from him, but I was expecting a little more from Dakota Joshua.
yeah, maybe.
He's not even providing like a awesome forecheck. He's not even being rough. Like, I don't know. I agree. Joshua Roy showed some nice things, but
Scott Lawton is very important for them to come back.
Yeah.
Because I think that this team is lacking right now in center depth. And obviously, when you lose Matthews, you can't replace it. Thank God you even have a Tavares at $4 million.
Yeah, exactly.
Or else your team would be in the bottom five of the league.
Listen, we can all agree that Toronto needs to survive the next 2 weeks and play above 500 hockey, because or else they can put themselves in a hole that they can't dig themselves out of.
well, you know what? They're a little bit lucky right now that the East is so close that despite their little slump here, they're still within like 3-4 points of a division, top 3 in the division.
And Stolars has not been as advertised last year. I mean, everybody was saying, well, the one thing that Toronto did not have a problem with last year was goaltending. They had one of the best goaltending tandems in the league.
Yeah.
This year, it looks like they have. Well, first of all, Wall hasn't really played that much.
I think he played his first game.
That's right. Yeah, he's just coming back, Wall. But Stolars has not looked like he could hold the fort.
So, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. First Rise and Fall, our first partial breakaway fantasy lens episode. If you have any risers or fallers that you want to talk about, please let us know. Send us a message.
And you can send us a message on our socials, Partial Break Pod on Instagram, X, and TikTok. Don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube if that's where you like to get your content. And our episodes are live on any audio podcast platform. Partial Breakaway Fantasy Lens episodes, which is our midweek show, will be a regular occurrence every week till the end of the season, even during the Olympics. We're non-stop, guys. We're non-stop content. So thank you for listening. Thank you for being there again this week, and we're gonna bring you more better things next week.
Sure.
Have a good night, people.